Good morning. Good morning. I am so sorry. We are 18 minutes late, and it's my fault. I'm at the office, as you can see, and for some reason, my computer would not log on this morning. Well, it logged on, but it wouldn't allow me to run. So this is our. Oh, we've jumped from Safari to Firefox to Chrome. We've jumped computers.
Houses.
Sorry?
Houses.
Yes, Jude was at the salon, and she's gone from the salon to her house so that she can log on. So I'm so sorry. I don't know what is going on with this internet. It's all a little bit crazy, but we are here. So thanks everyone for joining us this morning. I've had a brief over the last couple of days with Jude and Kim, and I'm really excited for this. These girls have really got some beautiful defining moments to share with us. Let's just do the housekeeping first. If anyone has got any problems, if we are running the chat mode there, if you've got any problems and you want to just type in there, Declan will try and help you. If you lose connection, just go out of the room and back in again. We've got plenty of room in the room.
I hope to try that on Google Chrome, because I think Safari's having a funny little moment today.
Yes.
So
yeah, I think Safari could be a problem. So if somebody wants to type for Marcus there and maybe say, oh, he's saying BT and TalkTalk Internet are down nationwide. So people could try their hotspots on their phone. TalkTalk is back, I can hear. And then that tip that Jude just gave you, if you're trying to run on Safari, try Chrome, because that's how we've had success today. We've jumped over to Chrome. Okay, so we're running the chat mode. That's good. If you want to ask a question, if you just type your question with a question mark, it will come up in a blue box. But then if you're going to make general chit chat, which we encourage, please do then jump back to the chat mode. That would be great. We really would appreciate that. So all good and well. So let me just do a quick introduction. I have got with me today, we've got the beautiful Jude Rizzo. And good morning, Jude. Jude's got a fantastic story, a career that spans over a couple of decades, and anybody that ever tells you that success is overnight, we're going to learn today that is not what it is like at all. And in thinking about that, because of course this whole series is about how we get inspired and people who inspire us. And in thinking about it, Kim came to my mind because, you know, Jude's kind of living her dream. Kim's working on hers. And, you know, I want everybody, I know there's a lot of stylists on here that have shared with me their, you know, their aspirations to achieve certain things in their career. And so I wanted somebody who's on that journey so that she can share with us as well. So everybody doesn't, you know, kind of look. I'm very aware of the fact, because I'm sure you are, Jude. You know, when I speak to people, they probably look and think, well, it's all right for you because, you know, you've already achieved this, and this, and it's difficult for them to identify with what's gone along the way. So that's why we've got this little trio today. So let's start with Jude. And Jude, can we go right? Let's go right back to the beginning, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know exactly where your career started. Because you came out of quite, you know, you've got quite a good pedigree, haven't you?
I sure do. Actually, I've been hairdressing since I was 13. I loved it. My nan got me a little Saturday job in a little salon, and it was just shampoo and sets, perms, old school, 15-minute appointments, putting everything in, and I had a really good time, really good ladies, really hard working, and I was never allowed to miss a Saturday, ever. And then, of course, I trained with Staffords, in Southend, so with Lee Stafford. I had a good time with the working there, and I sort of qualified and then had to retrain. So sometimes that happens, doesn't it? We start off our apprenticeship, we get our qualification, and just depending on where you want to work and how you feel, or what type of salon that you're in, or the standards are different, or their collection of work is different, sometimes you need to retrain. And our job, we're always retraining and relearning, especially now.
Yeah. So there'll be a lot of people on here that don't know, but there used to be a TV program. It was probably one of the first. It was way before Towie.
Yep.
But it was one of the first. Well, what do you call those kind of programs? Reality TV.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the first reality TV shows was called The Salon, wasn't it?
Salon, yeah. And we also did This Morning as well. So Lee was on This Morning. So he did all the front work, and all the rest of us guys were in the back doing all the work, like the colouring, the perming, that sort of thing behind the scenes, ready to go on. So, yeah.
So when we talk about defining moments, that was really your first taste of, that kind of, doing shows and doing hair for.
Absolutely. My actual first moment would have been spiral perming. So going back to my first little salon of doing those 15-minute perms, quickly and rolling them quick. I was one of the only ones that could do spiral perms at that time. So Lee rang me up and said, right, that's it, you need to come because you're the only one that can do perms. So I was doing that backstage, and that was my first moment of being, oh, I need this in my life.
Fantastic. So what else can you share with us about working with Lee Stafford? And of course, at that time, Lee was AD Phelan was part of that group, and Martin.
Yeah, do you know what? I was probably the only girl amongst all those boys. And I have to tell you, my passion when I first started was definitely cutting hair. I loved it. If you spoke to me about anything in my hairdressing career, it would have been cutting. Now, of course, I love absolutely everything and I can't make a decision. But none of the boys coloured hair any of them. They might have done a little root tint every now and again. And I thought, I loved that behind the scenes, and I thought, I need a space. Where can I get on? And so I retrained and really concentrated hard on being a colourist so I could get in and do that. So I specialised and focused and said, right, that's my opening because they don't do that. And that gives me an in.
And that's how you really become an expert colour, because like you saw that gap there. None of them, they were all focusing on their cutting, and you thought, well, hang on a minute, if I focus on being a great colourist, and so you became their colourist, as it were, and they needed you.
They needed me, yay, somewhere. And of course, I still had all the skills to cut because they trained me, so I had all that knowledge there and still grow that knowledge now. But it really made me fall in love with colour and think of it really differently, and how you can change someone's whole way of feeling about themselves with, changing their whole hair colour and rescuing them, which we'll be doing a lot of hopefully soon.
Yeah, rescuing people, let's hope so. So, Kim, tell us a little bit about your beginning in hairdressing.
So I started 16 years old at Feathers, Colchester, beginning my apprenticeship, and I've stayed there ever since. I love it so much. And just gradually worked my way up through. But yeah, it all began at Feathers, Colchester 16 years ago.
16 years ago. And what, tell me we discussed this before, the first defining moment that really took your career onto the path that it's on today. What did you discover that really helped you to understand you could be a different hairdresser from everybody else?
It was the introduction to the 8 essential steps for me. It was how would I explain? Before then, I wasn't really being able to monitor what I was doing fully. So when I was introduced to this and shown by someone, which was Brittany, how to do it well and look back and monitor and reflect it, that's when it really started to turn around for me, I feel.
So you just mentioned Brittany, because the first thing on when we had our chat before, the second thing on your list, you said the next defining moment for me in my career was Brittany, meeting Brittany.
Yeah, definitely. Until that point, I'd never really had a mentor within the salon or someone who I really aspired to be like. So when she come in with all of these new ways of doing things that worked, that was when I was like, wow, I need her to mentor me, because that's where I wanna go. So that's where that journey began.
Okay, and you told me earlier she's still one of your mentors today.
Yeah, she is. We still have one-to-ones and, over Facebook calls, things like that, monthly check-ins, and yeah, it's really nice.
And those monthly check-ins, I mean, I know, but I want you to tell everyone, how did those monthly check-ins that you have with Brittany, even now, how did they come about?
How did that start? Or
yeah.
So I asked her if she would, so when she came to the Colchester salon and she became manager, and she was doing, of course, the coaching and the one-to-ones regularly with the team. When she left, I asked her if she would still continue to do that for me, which she has, which is really, really nice of her. And it's good to stay in touch, but it just keeps things on track for me. And it's nice now to have like an outside perspective as well, I feel. Completely different ideas as well to try and implement.
Yeah, and it keeps you accountable to somebody that you are to be accountable to, right?
Yeah, because if we've discussed something and we've said, okay, so the next sort of 4-week focus is going to be on the completing the service, for example, and we've put in a little bit of like a step progress plan there. Next time we meet, and if I haven't done it, I know that she's going to say to me, or what's got in the way, why have you not done that? So it's just that kind of little reminder also, that someone is going to be asking me how it's gone in 4 weeks' time too. So that works. I like that a lot.
It's good. So Jude, last week we had Susan Campbell with us on a Defining Moment series, and what we learned last week was that the British Hairdressing Awards was Susan's project, right? And when she worked for Schwarzkopf. And in fact, Susan headed up the team that launched that program in the beginning. But you've got your own British hairdresser story, haven't you? So tell us a bit about that.
Well, I've entered a few times and I got through for newcomer. So just qualified probably, actually it was 6 days over a year. And I was working at one salon and moving to another salon. And I just got through to the finals for newcomer. And sadly, somebody had said that I was probably about 6 days overqualified or over my time. And they actually disqualified me. So I was like, and it was a really sad moment. And actually, they changed the rules after that. So because originally it had been about how long you'd been sort of as a new junior stylist, if you like. And then after that, it was an age group, because I think it sort of left like a little bit of a bad taste in the environment. They were really sad to do that, but they had to stick to those rules. And so then the next time I thought, right, that's it. I'm going to re-enter, and I entered for Colour Technician of the Year and got through to the finals for that. So it was really good, and it was good to do the Colour Technician because that's what I'd really driven myself and focused myself to do. So that was good. Sometimes it's not always easy, is it?
No.
But it was a good drive because it made me really think about doing it again. And for those of you that think about doing the British Hair Awards, yes, do. It's good. And I'm going to let you into a secret. I did both of mine in not very big budget, very small budget.
Yeah, well, and that's good. I always admire people when they're using smaller budgets, you know, to do that, because you know, if you've got a big budget, you get the best photographer, the best professional models. You know, then it's not so much about the hair. When you're working with a small budget, the hair's got to be really good,
Yeah.
and the creativity has got to be good, you know, in that part. Okay, so that's good, Jude. You've been talking to us about skills and how important they are and retraining yourself. And your next defining moment, Kim, you told me about, was actually skills based. So tell us about that.
So I think it might have been about 7 years ago now. It was actually you who sent me on VIA 1 and 2. And for me, that was one of my defining moments, because until that point, I don't feel that I had a cutting system that I was following, that I had confidence in. So going and taking those, I think it was 6 days with Mickey for 1 and 2, it really transformed my career within the salon, because I think it gave me a lot of confidence, which I feel like if you're quite confident in something, you can really recommend, and your creativity comes quite naturally. Whereas when you're feeling a little bit nervous when people are showing you pictures, and maybe you're a little bit thinking already, oh God, how am I going to start this? The creativity isn't really there. So I feel like that was one of the first cutting courses that I went on that really transformed my cutting, and I loved it.
Good. I think you did VIA too, didn't you, Jude? If my memory
serves. I really enjoyed it. I loved it. It was really fantastic. It's something I would recommend for all stylists, and definitely in from young to when you've been in the industry quite a while, because I've been in the industry a little while now. But it really refined some of my skills. It really made me go back to thinking about technique a little bit better, a little bit more focused. So it was really nice. And sometimes as a salon owner, you can get a little distracted with everything that's going on, you know, in the day-to-day things of, is that person over there okay? Have they got enough support? Is the colour going all right? Is that stylist over there doing this? And like Kim said, when you've got a system and for me, refreshing that and polishing that, it really gives you, like, you feel secure in yourself. So it's something I'd really recommend it for anyone. It's really good.
I really enjoyed, there's a lot of focus on head shapes as well, which for me was one of the bits that I really enjoyed as well, because I felt like that was a part for me from the start that maybe I hadn't touched enough on, different head shapes and looking at that for different styles, which I think was really important when you're looking at the person in front of you, to be able to recommend them the right style to kind of suit the shape that they already have. Gives that person, your client, the confidence, and keeps them returning to you, because that's maybe something that someone else isn't offering for them as well.
Yeah, I think you know, it's good. I think we're really getting an idea here for, you know,
I can see the saying sectioning, Debbie, definitely sectioning, but that's for everything: colour, cutting, perming, blow drying, whatever you're doing, sectioning. They're sectioning on that classes.
Yeah, do you know? Yeah, it was, and it's interesting you should say that, Jude, because you know, often I see hairdressers and like you're in a salon, they're like, you know, that's a crocodile clip, that bit, and I'm looking, I'm thinking, like, that's the difference between a £25 haircut, you know, and a £55 haircut. Is the sectioning right there. But because everything else follows then from that sectioning, doesn't it? Interestingly, not going off on a tangent, this morning Daniel said to me, oh my gosh, you've got to look at this salon. They've announced their price increase. It's been going on for 3 days around their Facebook page, right? And this morning they finally, 3 days later, and that announced the pricing. And Daniel goes, "Are you ready for this?" He said, "Sit down. You're gonna sit yourself, right?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm waiting." So I'm thinking, like, is it really high, this or whatever it was? Anyway, he said, cut and blow dry. Just remind me, Daniel. Daniel's listening, I think. He's probably listening and doing something else. I'm sure it was £15. I said, £15? What? Yeah, anyway, he stopped following them. He said, I'm not even going to follow them. They've had a 3-day debate about their prices increasing, and their cut and finish was £15. Anyway, if Marcus is on here, it was down in your neck of the woods, Marcus. This salon. Anyway, I'm not going to say any more about that. So, Jude, when we were talking earlier, you said one of the things you'd learned from your defining moments is that sometimes you have to give up a little to get ahead. That's what you said to me. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, do you know what? I realised that I definitely wanted my own salon at some point, and I thought perhaps after I had Mia, I thought perhaps having my own salon would be an opportunity to choose my own hours and do those things. But I still had so much in me that says I still need my career, like I need it for me. I love it. I love it. So it's really difficult for me not to do that. And I realised along the way some of the things that I thought that I could do, perhaps choose my own hours or be able to be a bit more flexible with Mia. Yes, you can do those, but there are times that you have to give up time. You have to give up a little family time or your own precious time to be able to carry on, lifting your levels up, lifting your game up, and being able to share that. So, yeah, there is, and that still hasn't changed now.
Yeah, making those sacrifices. Now, Kim, so you also, and they didn't know that I spoke separately to Kim and separately to Jude, right? And took these notes, and it's really interesting how the things are. You're going to love this, Kim, because it's going to be reconfirming to you that you're on the right path, right? But anyway, you had spoken to me, Kim, about a defining moment in your career where you had to give up a little. You had to like go backwards to go ahead. So talk to us about that.
So for me, I had actually gone up a level higher quite a time back. We had two girls going on maternity at the time in the salon on the same level, which were higher. So I'd gone up to cover the maternity so that there was enough people on that level to do their clients while they weren't there, which felt like at the time, this will be this is exciting, I'm going up, but actually later on down the line it hadn't worked because I wasn't in the right position to have gone up in the first place. So after careful thought about it, and you kind of approached me, didn't you, and said we think that maybe it would be a good idea to go down to the level below so that you can rebuild, which sometimes can sound a little bit scary because it's almost like going backwards, but
I remember the conversation, and I can remember how devastated you were. But I mean, just so everybody understands, we had a managing director who made some decisions, that weren't necessarily the right decisions, and unfortunately, your promotion just to cover maternity wasn't enough, right? And as you just said, you weren't experienced enough, you didn't have the right skills, and so when I
didn't have clients either, I wasn't busy enough to begin, I don't think.
No. So when I came back into the business as managing director, and Brittany came in, and you know, we were kind of assessing the business and what needed to happen. You know, I can remember me, Brittany, and you, wasn't it? Right?
Yeah.
And we sat there, and I said, Kim, we've got a plan for your future success. And you said, oh, good. And I said, yes, we think that you should go down a level. And your face. And I remember Brittany and I trying to reassure you that our plan was the right plan. In fact, I can remember I said to you, I said, don't, you know, let's not make a decision right now, Kim. You go and you think about it, and let's meet again tomorrow. Right? Remember, that's what happened, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you went away and you thought about it. You come back. So tell us about that.
So come back and trusted in you, and decided that that's what we would do. I now had better skills than what I did in the first place anyway. And I was able to rebuild, and I've now raised my prices, which is great. I've remained busy. Yeah, and it was completely the right thing to do. Although it's scary to take a step backwards, sometimes you need to come back to be able to go further forwards to where you need to be. Because had I not done that, I feel like I maybe wouldn't have built the way that I have. So it was, yeah, completely the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's a really good example of sometimes in life what happens is, you know, you're going along and you go up a path and you suddenly realize you're on the wrong path, right? The path you should be on is over there. And in order to get from this path to this path, you have to come backwards and go forwards again, right? And I think most people have times in their life where they do that, and it is a scary time. And of course, sometimes people don't do that. So, you know, often what happens is people try and keep on the same path, or they choose a completely different path, you know. So I can remember what my concerns at the time, you know, for me, the business, for you, Kim. I thought, gosh, you know, Kim might say, oh no, I'm going to give up, you know, if I'm not good enough, then. And it wasn't that you weren't, you know, you weren't good enough, you just weren't, you know, you weren't in the right place at the right time, you know. So it was good. It was very brave of you to do that. So
I think it's a fantastic thing that you did that, because so many hairdressers in our industry, we've lost so many along the way that feel embarrassed or shameful to do that. And it's not. It's saying, actually, I need another stepping stone, and I need to just upgrade a few things or change a few things of what I'm doing now, so I can get somewhere else. And not enough hairdressers, because I think our industry sometimes is built on a little bit on ego, quite often. And I think it's okay to say, oh, I need to retrain there, or I need to do that. And I think it's brilliant that you've done that, because look how it's accelerated you now.
Yeah, she's one of the top performing stylists in the company, you know. I mean,
you would have lost that confidence had you have not gone back and said, okay, I need to relook at that. And now you've accelerated. Had you have not done that, to carry on that path, you would have and lost the clients or not changed your skill set to suit what you needed. You'd have lost more confidence. And that happens so often in hairdressing. And we lose so many hairdressers that could be fantastic or really have a good career because they get sidetracked or nervous about that and lose that confidence. So I think it was really brave and a really fantastic thing that you've done. And hopefully it will make other young hairdressers following in your steps to do the same, because we need more of that now more than ever.
Yeah, you're so right, Jude, and I so agree with you. You know, the stylists that we lose out of the industry. You know, my over 30 years as a salon owner, I mean, some of the fabulous little hairdressers, you know, that have not continued for whatever reason. And it's so sad, because if they just push through that little bit more, you know, the rewards for successful hairdressers are phenomenal. You know, Kim earns a phenomenal living now, and loves what she's doing. I mean, how can you knock that? You can't. You love what you're doing and you earn good money to boot. And all day, every day, you're making people feel good about themselves and look better. I mean, the combination of that is incredible. But there is that middle ground, right, which is very hard for people to get across. And you know, as you know, with the Passion for Hair Academy, we had the course, which unfortunately, I mean, it was fully booked, 2-part course that Richard was Richard's baby, his brainchild, the graduate stylist course, which is all about, it's 2 days in the academy, then they go away, they have to complete a series of things, setting up a little group, giving them the support they need, helping them to recognise mentors and other education that they need, right? Which is, you know, some of the other programs that we run. And then they come back a little while later for 2 days, and then they get kind of that second layer. And unfortunately, of course, you know, we've had to postpone that program. It's only postponed, so yeah, it's coming back. But yeah, I mean, it's really important that we find a way to bridge that gap for stylists so that we can have more, you know, more confident and successful stylists in the industry. Jude, tell us a little bit. So you talked about, you know, becoming a mother, and you touched there on opening the salon. So tell us a little bit about your experience of opening the salon, because of course that's the defining moment.
Yeah, boy, I think I've squished everything into owning a salon in a really short space of time. Just having all sorts of things. Actually, I was really lucky because I had a great junior stylist who you all know and love that came with me. She didn't to start with, but she finished her qualifications in the old salon that she was, and there wasn't a position there. So off she toodled and rang me, and I was like, great, because I'm opening this shop in about 2 weeks, and we needed to refresh a couple of cutting things. And so it was just Steph and myself, and we had a receptionist that joined a few weeks later, and off we toodled. And I have to say, I'm not shy to admit that I've learned as I've gone along with owning a salon. It's not been easy. I've got a really solid team culture, as in they're a good, really good bunch, and people that have come and joined us along the way that don't fit in with that, like we don't like the gossip, we like the same support network, they just filter away, they don't really stay with us. I don't even have to go to the point, you know, you say to someone, I'm just not sure that it's right here for you, and they're like, no, and they're gone. So of course, having the fire at the shop and tootling along with all of those things, makes you squish everything all in one. And I also had a period of time where I had a new qualified stylist who was able to pinch the data on the computer. So learning that skill, and learning how to do disciplinaries, they're all things that, as a hairdresser, which I love, they were new things that I wasn't sure about. So I've learned along as I've gone along. And, you know, sometimes you make mistakes. And I think as long as you understand yourself where you're doing and check on that. But one of the biggest things, I think, having my own salon and my biggest defining moment was, I don't have to stay with those big corporates. I don't have to stay where I don't want to be. So I was able to choose to be with you guys at Passion, and thankfully with open arms you accept me. So
do you remember we were stalking you, Daniel and I?
Yes, that for me was the biggest part. It sounds silly, really, of being like a family inside the shop, and then a family inside Passion, which I think we've achieved, and sort of having a family inside Census. They're not easy to juggle all the time.
Yeah, I remember Daniel said to me, he phoned me and he says, I've just come out of this salon. He said, you've got to come with me and see this salon owner. He said, when you look in her appointment book, you are not going to believe your eyes. And yeah, sure enough. So it was great. Yeah, and as soon as I met you, Jude, I knew everything you said you wanted were the things that I knew that, like, we wanted the same things, and they were early days for us too.
Yeah.
And you know, let's tell everyone. I mean, you were also being pursued by Matrix. Matrix were desperate to have you. In fact, one day I was sitting in your reception waiting for you.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And the Matrix rep came in, and of course we know each other, right? And I'm sitting there, and he came and said, "Oh, hello." And he said, "Oh, hello." And he said, "Jude, I've got this big box of samples for you to try." I remember that. Anyway, I thought, gosh, we're going to have a bit of a battle here. It's David and Goliath, right? It's here we are, the little guys with our little slingshot, you know, and they've got the big guns. But luckily for us, Jude, you chose us.
I went out for a meeting. I did, and that was a really unusual time. And I went up for the meeting to see them because I think it's important. I already knew in my heart where I wanted to be and the types of people I wanted to surround myself with, and I think that's really, really important part. And I also think when you don't like, we talk about it a lot actually, when you don't like what your people that surround you are doing, you're a percentage of that anyway. So you have to sort of remove yourself. And I thought, I don't like where the industry was at that time, how those big companies were. I didn't like that we couldn't keep our professionalism as a hairdresser, and how I was constantly changing my skill set and finding ways to stay in so that I wouldn't lose my career or my passion, because that for me is really important. I think a lot of people don't keep up with that to find those things because they look to their boss or they look to someone else and say, well, I don't have that passion. I don't, that, why do I not feel like that? And it really is down to the individual. You have to keep challenging yourself. You have to keep finding things that inspire you. And you can have your mentors and look at towards what they're doing and how they've done it. But it's down to yourself to have that, to keep up that passion. And when I went up to see them, this huge big building, which I have to say was my first really big meeting like that on my own, because I'd always had the support with the boys, so I never had to deal with that on my own. And I thought, I don't like it. I need to be with Debbie and Daniel.
Yeah, because we have fish and chips on the seafront when we have a meeting.
Yeah, we did.
Or cockles. I say, oh, can we go down Old Lee, Jude? We'll have a down there.
I'm not doing that. As much as I've lived here all my life, just so you all know, I do not like cockles.
I love them.
Funny little things.
There's nowhere in the world that does them better than Old Lee.
Absolutely.
By the way, Lee's not a person, it's a place. Leon C. That's great. I'm so engrossed in what you're saying. So, Kim, what you said, now staying on the education thing, you had said to me, a defining moment. It's not a moment, it's more like something that's happened to me. She said, my love of education. So tell us about that.
I think after I took VIA and saw the results from it, I just fell in love with all the training and the courses available out there. And it just clicked for me, and I just want to go on everything. I want to be everywhere as much as I can, and taking things sometimes more than once as well. I like to go back and revisit things and take in like new layers from the different courses and events that I've attended. And I just get a bit of a buzz from going to the events. But a little bit, like Jude was just saying as well, it's about being around the like-minded people, and it's nice, like when we go to the different trainings and that. I love that when you get to see everyone else from the other salons, and we've all got such a passion for what we're doing, and it's just I like that feeling where we all kind of like buzz off each other as well. I think it's great. Love that.
Now, I'm your boss, and I also have passion for education. In fact, we have a company called Passion for Education. So I also have a passion for education, but there's a lot of stylists, and so we have to make the resources go round, etc., etc. So there are times when you ask me for things, and I say, well, I'm sorry, Kim, the budget's going towards someone else doing it, or no, I can't give you time off for that. We need you at the end of the day. The business has to make money. I can't give you the time off. So what do you do then?
So if it's something that I need to fund myself, that's not a problem. I can do that, or work towards doing that, put some money aside in my retail bank. If it's something and it's not, and I can't be out of the salon, obviously that's the number one important thing, that I'm in the salon and it works. What I might be able to do is maybe ask someone to swap a shift, or it depends on the situation in that instance, really. But yeah, if it's something that I need to book a flight myself to be there, and I need to do that myself, I'm more than happy to do that, because I want to be there.
Well, and you do. That's the point, really, that I'm trying to help people understand. That I'm actually a very generous boss, but there's only so much money to go round, and when it's not your turn, you don't let that stop you, do you?
No, I try not to.
No, you need to work. And what are some of the other things that you do in order to not miss out on things? What?
So I use my retail sales and put it into my retail bank. So then I can use that towards training, events, trips. My clients do know that when they purchase products from the salon, where that money goes towards. So it will help me be able to go and learn new things, to be able to share and use on them. So I think that's answered that question.
I love that, what you just said, that you share that with your clients, because I don't think enough people share that with their clients, that when they do purchase retail, it doesn't just, disappear into the business. It gets partly put back into the training. That's an aha moment for me today.
Nice, I like that. Yeah. I said that to you as well, didn't I, Jude? I said to you, you're going to really enjoy with Kim today, because of course Jude is one of Kim's mentors, right?
Yeah.
And you work a lot with Jude. In fact, something that happened to you just recently, you put down as one of your defining moments. And what happened?
Was that me? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, this is directed at you. So something happened. It was one of your defining moments. It involves Jude.
Yeah. So it was when I got asked to be part of the UK census team. It's amazing. So I've done 2 of the shows for the collections, and at Pro Hair Live, I got to go on main stage with Jude as well, which was great.
Win. Total confidence.
Now, so Jude, what made you choose Kim to do that?
Well, her dedication and passion. And of course, we'd worked alongside leading up our inspiration days. And Kim had done lots of work backstage. She'd driven me crazy about what else she could do. So
all volunteering, of course. Yeah. Can I volunteer? Can I be your assistant?
Yeah. And that's something that's really important when you're giving up time and resources, because financially it's your resources as well, isn't it? If you're saying I'm going to be there, I'm going to drive there, you're using your petrol, you're saying I'm going to be there, maybe you need to stay overnight, and it's all those things. So I knew that I could trust Kim to deliver those. I knew that she'd be nervous, but that was my job to. And by the way, can I just say, I always still get really nervous when I go on stage, and if you don't, I don't know where that drive or passion would come from. So for me, I think it's good because I think about what I'm going to say. Is it going to be enough? So I knew Kim would be nervous because I was feeling nervous for two reasons. Because of a different situation, and we'd driven up and we were making these plans, and I was saying, okay, Kim, and I'm going to need you to do this, this, and this, but don't worry, I'm right there next to you. As you, Debbie, have been for me on those situations. And normally I work alongside Steph, who works with me, and I know her work and I can do that. So for me, I knew how Kim was working because she'd given me that time. So of course we have that trust, and that I think is the most important thing. And when you don't know what to say, or you can feel that, you can read that off each other. So I think that's good.
I always feel, so going back to the nerves thing, especially with Pro Hair, I was feeling, very nervous. But I know that when I'm up there with you, that there's not going to be a problem, because if I do forget to say something or something comes out wrong, that it's that trust thing that I know that you've got my back and it will be okay no matter what. So although the nerves are there, I feel at ease with who I'm there with, if that makes sense. So that's, really nice. I love that experience.
Oh, giving me goosebumpies, girl. Giving me goosebumpies. That's fantastic. Now, Jude, let's just go back to your early days with Census. Back then, we used to have a competition in September every year, the Volto per Census, which means the face of Census. We touched on it last week with Susan. Many people have asked that comes back. But so tell us about that, Jude. So I said to you, Jude, they have this competition, and I really think it's something, it's right up your street. You'll really enjoy it. So tell us about your experiences with Volto per Census.
I think, well, you said yes, let's do it. So I was like, okay, let's do it. I'm always, if you say, come on, it's a competition, we've got to go for it, let's just go for it. So it was really good. It was a mad experience. I had some strange models along the time. I think I won it 3 times before. 3 times. Yeah. Which was really
3 years running, but you won, like, each year you won more than one.
Yeah.
But you won the big prize 3 years running.
Yeah. It was a really fantastic experience, and it gave me an opportunity to be able to show my skill set. So people don't know who you are or see that until you can get it out there a little bit. After I did that competition, that was when I was asked if I would like to just come and watch the next photo shoot, have a little input, see how it's all run behind the scenes, and just enjoy the weekend with them, which I did. And that's what we were saying earlier about giving up your time and resources, because lots of times we did that. I wasn't paid to do those things, because that's also updating my skill set. So I was learning a lot of new things, how to do, how to run stage work, how to do the photo shoots on those things. Everything's so different as you go along, even how little things, how the lighting was and things like that. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, show blogs, right? I remember the first time, and I can't remember where it was, but it was a show somewhere, and I kept saying to Jude, what about it was the models practice on stage, Jude, and in the end I said, Jude, because in the beginning, like you say, you don't realise how much goes into the lighting, the sound, the choreography, the wardrobe, all of these things on a show,
and the content,
the makeup, and hairdressers tend to get like really fixed on the hair. but there's like the hair, when you get to a final show or a shoot, the hair is about 10 or 15% of the finished production. And so it's very, very hard, you know, to take people from there to there. It takes a lot of time and experience for people to understand what goes into it. And when I say the hair's only 10 or 15%, you can't get up there and do bad hair.
No.
You know,
I know.
The hair's got to be amazing, but the rest of it is, you know, so important.
I think a little bit is about being authentic. And one of the things that I really learned along the way is just even before, like you said to us before, if you're not sure on something, if somebody asks you a question, I know I can get the answer, but perhaps it's just not in the forefront of my mind at that moment. So I might need to think about it, or I might need to go away and think about combinations or whatever it is. But it's about being authentic. I think people read through that. So if you're pretending to be someone that you're not, it can't last forever. And people see through that.
Yeah, definitely. So, Kim, now you're phenomenal stylist. I'm always quoting you and your performance and your numbers. You do great professional numbers. You do great retail. You constantly, you know, at the top of our leaderboard at Feathers, and when you're not, you know, fight to get to the top, which is great. You've become, you know, a great role model to others. You know, others. It's not an accident that other people around you are also doing very, very well. You know, let's think about Leanna, right? Who you and Leanna started at Feathers on exactly the same day. Did you know each other before? Did you know each other before?
Yeah, we went to school together.
Oh, okay.
That's nice.
Started at the same day, and they're still both in the salon. But Leanna is also, you know, she's also a phenomenal stylist. In fact, she gives you a run for your money, Kim, right? These days, sometimes numbers come in, and I'm like, whoa, go Leanna. She whipped your ass this week. So, you know, so that's fantastic. So that's your professional. You're now an educator for Passion for Hair. And of course, now I can remember we had a conversation, Kim, and you said, oh, I'd really like to be an educator for Passion for Hair because I love education so much and I've learned so much. But, you know, I really don't know whether, you know, my nerves get so bad and whatever. And I said to you, Kim, go and it's called Learn It, Use It, Teach It, right? Learn it, use it, now teach it. And I said to you, go and teach the people in your team, and then teach the people at Feathers, right? And then you'll know whether or not you're going to make a great educator. That's right, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And you volunteered your time to go and teach at other Feathers salons, right? Can I come and take your team meeting? Your own time, your own petrol, went and took over their team meetings, right? Just so you could get that practice, etc. Correct? Yeah,
that's right.
You did editorial team.
Yeah.
And then last year you did something. It was probably your most recent defining moment. Tell us about that.
So I went over to California to take part in E04 boot camp. There was me, Nicole and Carly, all went off together on the plane, about 13 hours to get there. Completely out of my comfort zone because it's one thing like teaching to your team and going in and to the other salons and people who you know, but to go in, it was really nerve-wracking. The first day we had some intense product knowledge, which was really, really good. Loved that. And then day 2, 3, and 4 were a little bit more intense. And it really broke you down and made you really vulnerable. There was tears. breakdowns about it. But it was, yeah, definitely my most recent defining moment, because it, like, frightened the life out of me, having to get up and stand up and present and be marked on something by the people who, of course, I felt like they know everything that I'm talking about, and I might get it wrong, and then they're going to tell me how well I've done it. And it was just such a big experience. And I think what made it even kind of more intense is we were on an 8-hour time difference from anyone at home. So by the time class finished and it felt a bit intense, there was no one to contact to say, oh, I've had a bad day, I just want to tell you about what's happened, because everyone else back at home was asleep. So yeah, it was a really, really great experience. Come back a lot stronger from it. And we came back, the three of us, with this really great connection as well, because we were there together through it. It was just the three of us. So yeah, it was really, really fantastic. And it's kind of one of those things that now, when I think, okay, I'm going to do a little team meeting, or I'm going to hold a 2-hour on 8 steps or something within the salon, and when I feel my nerves coming, which is normal, of course, it's always, I've got that kind of marker now. It can't be as bad as what it was when I had to stand up in California. So it's okay. It's not going to feel as bad as that. So just get on with it and do it, which is quite nice to have that as well.
And of course, again, we had some fabulous programs with you and Nicole and Carly planned in the academy, which were all fully booked, which were all cancelled, but we'll get it all back on track. So that will be great, because, if we could get more young hairstylists following, the kind of paths that you two have had, it would be a much different industry. That's for sure. So just tell us then, Kim, what's next for you?
So next, I'm looking forward to getting back to the salon and being able to put some new things in place, what we've been able to kind of rethink over this kind of pause. So I'm really looking forward to that and getting back to my clients. I would like to be able to raise my prices again. So that's where I'm kind of focusing in within the salon, making sure that the service is right, to be able to go up and do that. I really want to continue with the Senses Inspiration Days within the UK. One of the training courses that I'd like to attend next is one of Gianni's, and just, keep things going, really.
And you're the manager at Colchester now.
Yeah.
That's going really well. And tell everybody, what's one of your goals for the future?
So one of my goals for the future is I would like to become the owner of the Colchester salon. Eventually.
It's exciting, isn't it, Jude?
Yeah, really.
You know what? When someone's done like as much as Kim's done, and then she tells me something like that, like, I stand there and I go, if that's your goal, if that's what you want, you've already shown me so many times how you can achieve whatever you want, you can bounce back, you can redirect. So I've no doubt that's what will happen. I don't know how it will happen. I've already announced to all of my partners that I've got another 10 years in me. But, who knows what will happen. So, Jude, tell us, because you also had something amazing happen to you last year. So tell us about what happened to you last year.
Oh, I had a little promotion. Yeah, I did. Wow, what a year that's turned out to be. So, yes, being part of and heading that with Michaela, the international style director, is brilliant. Of course, the changes are as they are at the moment, so we'll see what happens. But for me personally, I think I've had some really good time to reflect and have a look at some changes, again, like Kim said, that to implement in the salon. So of course that's in this country, that's in my most forefront of getting back into the shop and doing what I love and picking up my skills again, making sure they're not too rusty. So that for me is a really important factor, and I've spent some really lovely time with family like this on FaceTime and everything. So I've had a really good opportunity to calm down. And I know lots of people have found it very difficult and all the different things. I've actually found it quite calming. So it's been good for me. The next step with census, I'm always looking. One of my things right at the beginning, what I said to you about being a colourist to fit in with the boys. I was part of Luigi's team then, so I never knew where or how I was going to stay at census, because when you work for a company, you only have like a year's contract or so, and you don't always stay contracted. So your roles have always, my drive has always been to show them that I can do different things. So not just being part of the art team, but also being part of their education team, because I see that as being a long-term goal of mine. And maybe perhaps doing a few months there, you never know, in 10 years, a few months there and a few months here would be great. Who knows? But you have to have an ambition. And I'm one of my biggest goals now is to perhaps be a mentor in the as a director, of artistic director. But I know I won't always run that because we can't. And being part of the style director is, I have a certain style, it's a certain way of mine, and I've got to learn to change my style all the time to fit in with whatever's going on in the industry at that moment, whatever the culture is, whatever the influences are, the colours for the seasons. I know I've got to change that, but I won't always be able to stay there. So I'd like to, at some point, perhaps be a mentor for the team to run under. So I could always stay part of that team, but mentor the new style director, if that makes sense. So I'm always looking for a little role that I could stay somewhere and try and create a new role for myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I love it so much, but I know I won't always be there, and I've got to move and be flexible.
Like you were a cutter with the boys, and you recognise that, hang on a minute, here's a gap here. I can do this. You're saying, right, well, this is my passion, it's my heart, but you know, I won't always be able to be this person. So you're already looking for,
and I want to train people to take that role over, because first of all, I'm passionate about census anyway, so that's great. And it needs to have that continual passion from someone that keeps coming up. They must keep coming, and what I really want to do is be able to show them how it is as a family, so that it can continue to do that. So that's kind of my role that I'm working on, to find it all in for that. I hope.
Again, Jude, we had some fantastic programs arranged for the academy. Just to let everybody know that Jude actually is going to do a webinar. Well, we're going to do 2 webinars. We're going to do a 10-minute MC2 10
fast
MC2 fast 10-minute colour webinar, just for Passion for Hair family.
Yeah, recap, because it's really important, and I'm really excited about this colour, so I think it's really good. So yeah, we'll definitely do that.
Yeah, and you're also going to do a program with everybody, like going back, how to deal with. Hang on, I've got
louder room
with. Oh gosh, you look at yourself the other way in these cameras. How to deal with roots like that, or with the clients who have dabbled, and many have. So she's going to do that webinar as well. So that will be something really, really good for everybody to join in on. So we've got 2 of those webinars coming up with Jude. In fact, one of them will be next Friday. I'm not sure. Probably the did you say
Fast colour.
fast colour next Friday?
Yeah.
Wednesdays with me. Wednesdays with me. Okay, so that's fantastic. So we know what's next for you both. Now let's have a look. I think we've got. Are there any other defining moments that either of you want to share with anybody? If not, we're going to take some questions, Declan. We've got some questions. What have we got? Kim, if you were to be coaching a young hairdresser to become successful like yourself, what 3 steps would you guide them towards in order to achieve it? This is from Matt.
So I think the first thing that's really important to do is to find a mentor, someone who you aspire to be doing what they're doing. And I think it's really important that you ask them as well, and tell them, I mean, the people who I've been to and asked for help, they've kind of made it quite clear to me, and they've asked me what I need them to help me with. So kind of having that idea ready as well. So what you need from that person to be able to help you. I think the other thing is to always show up to everything that you can, but for me, it's about setting the goals. So looking at kind of what you want to achieve and really setting them time specific as well, and setting aside the time to be able to reflect back and be able to see kind of where you're going and sort of whereabouts you are on track with it as well.
Is that 2 or 3?
3, I think. So
okay.
The mentor, showing up, so going to lots and lots of different educations, as much as you can, and the goals, setting the goals.
Excellent. What's the next question, please, Declan? Jude, at this moment in time in the industry, what advice can you give to young hairdressers to point them in the direction you're in with regards to your success on stage?
Wow. Yeah. I think the most important thing is to surround yourself with like-minded people. So you have to find, for me, finding passion for hair and being that part, that was my direction, that was my drive. If that's what you're thinking. And I think that's the most important thing, is that you need someone to bounce ideas off of. You need to, one of the hardest things ever is learning how to, I wouldn't say, I hate the word criticism, because I'm always learning how to take small things and change them. So if it's not quite right, you've got to be a good boss of yourself. So you've got to be able to say, okay, I can do better at that. I know what I need to do to sound better at this. And that I would say about being open. And I share everything. I don't hold anything back. Of course, they're not your hands, they're my skills, but I share everything. I don't have any colour secrets. I don't have any cutting secrets. I give everything to everyone, and as much as they want it. And I think young hairdressers need to absorb that and have that same mentality to keep growing, because it keeps our industry alive with that.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. Just give it. I love the giving bit too.
Yeah, just give everything. I don't have anything to hide.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I love that. And then there's a piece of advice that I always give everybody that neither of you have said yet, and I was sure that one of you were going to come out with it. Let's see if you know which piece I'm talking about.
Is it the 5 people who you spend the most time with?
Oh, well, that's a good piece of advice I always give you, yeah. But no, there's one, it's very specific. It's always right in the beginning when I say, if you want to...
Success leaves clues?
No, it's another good piece of advice I give you, yeah. If you want to travel...
Oh, be a good traveller.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to
be a good traveller. Be a good traveller.
Absolutely.
Now, you used to be the fussiest eater I've ever met in my life. And I can remember saying to you, Kim, if you want to travel, be a good traveller. And what that means for you is when people put food in front of you,
You've got to eat it.
you've got to eat it. Right? It's right, isn't it?
I'm nowhere near as fussy anymore, and like even when I'm not traveling. So it's helped me in lots of ways.
Well, and that wasn't just the reason why I did it. It's because, you know, I mean, I've worked in this capacity of training, educating, shows, etc., etc. Oh gosh, 25 years, and I have seen people who have come onto the scene, but they make such a lot of fuss, right? And they create such a lot of drama. And when you're in these situations where you've got shoots to do or shows to do or educations to do, there's no time for fuss or drama. People have got to roll their sleeves up and get on with it, right? And I've seen so many really, really good people literally tossed to the side because they don't behave in the right way. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I think that's really important. There's I always say to people, there's like, honestly, there are hundreds of people that want Jude's job, hundreds, and that, you know, and they'll get there for free, they'll give up their time for free, they'll do it for free. You see what I mean? So you've got to don't let anything get away.
That's actually really good, because being part of the census team and travelling around, Debbie's always said about being a good traveller, and I am quite easygoing, so it is easy to be a good traveller. But there have been some situations, and there's been people on our team that I thought that were really fantastic hairdressers, but perhaps created scenarios or situations that really companies don't have time for, because there are so many of us that could fill that space. And I just see them go and I think, oh, what happened to that person? And then I realise what's gone, you know.
They weren't asked back.
Yeah, they're not asked back, exactly. And it's really, I think, yeah, it's a shame with those things. I think you have to be, I always get up, get dressed, put my lipstick on. I'm always there. I'm first there. It's really important.
Yeah, you know,
and I'm really tired. I'm like,
and you can find your moments and your confidants, you know, and
gosh, how many times have I run you, Debbie, going, I'm in the wrong place, am I good enough for this?
Yeah, and I say, come on, put your lipstick on and pull your big girl pants on and get on with it.
Yeah.
Okay, next question, Meg. Jude, how do you find the time to split yourself into all these different projects, and how do you balance everything?
I've got a really amazing support network, which has been built up along the way. I work alongside a really great team that look after the salon when I'm not there, so that's one good thing. My sister is my bookkeeper, so she keeps me on track with everything and says I can't spend any more money, so that's really good. And most importantly, I've chosen to align myself with companies that are strangely, really driven by strong women. And so they understand a family value. And for me, Census is a real strong family value. My Halo team has a real strong family value. Passion for hair, it's the same. So I've been really lucky that I've been able to bring Mia with me. And one of the biggest things that I do is I can't focus on lots of things all at once. I'll make sure they're all up there on a little mind map, like I'll draw it out so I know. And then I just focus on what's coming up next. So sometimes people might say to me, Jude, what about this in 3 months' time? And I'm like, it's okay, I'll get there. Because I'm just not, I know my weakness. I'm not good at focusing on absolutely everything. So I have to do what's coming up, give my time and drive for that, and make sure that's the best it can be. And then I can go on to the next thing, if that makes sense. I have to be quite orderly with that, otherwise I'd drive myself insane.
Next question, Declan. Great answer, Jude. Jude, share the experience you had at the Business Count show last year.
Oh, do you know what? I had such a blast with all these like young up and coming hairdressers. It was brilliant. And that's what I was saying about mentoring like a team, the next team. I think it's really good. They were so inspiring. I picked up some really good new hairdressing tips, but most importantly, I picked up a heap of passion again, just with how they were, how the team was so passionate. They did amazingly. So we had a whole group of newbies that were like coming up and showing all their work off. Honestly, they were fantastic. Really go-getters. Everybody wanted to be part of it and make sure that it was really the best it could be. And it was a great opportunity for me to share what I'd learned from the last couple of shows with Census. So it was really good. And hopefully people are enjoying the filter. So now I'm sharing those things. When there's more shows coming up, people will have that experience. I think it's filtering down. I hope it is anyway. Hope everyone got. It was really good.
Great answer. Declan, the next question. Jude, do you remember our conversation at an ESON event in the garden? I said that you would get to the top with Census and Debbie would support you.
Matt, you did. And I'd said to Matt, do you know what? It would be the first time that I've done anything like this. And perhaps I'd still need a little support and guidance. And I was really, Matt said to me then, if you're really, be honest about that. You've got Debbie that will support you for sure. And I was really honest with Census as well and said, okay, this will be my first time at doing this. So, and also there's a language barrier as well. So I'm not always the first to understand something or the first to hear about it, because of course in that team of Census team, they're all Italian and speaking together. So I'm not always the first, but I took Matt's advice and was really honest with them. And yeah, they're really supportive. It's really good. Thank you.
Excellent. Next question. Debbie, have we got more shows lined up? Okay, well, at the moment, it's a really good question, Matt. At the moment, of course, we've wiped everything off of our calendar, only because we don't know what's going to happen. But let me tell you, as soon as we're able to open the academy, and we have to wait until groups of at least 10 people can get together. But as soon as that happens, we will have a program at the academy. And then we have 2 shows that we've got goals to continue with this year. One, of course, is Gianni's Inspiration Day. We want to be able to complete that this year. We have to wait for groups of at least 50. And Business Counts, we've already said, as soon as it is announced that there can be groups of at least 50, we will hold a Business Counts. We've got the hotel on hold for both those events. And as soon as we get the go-ahead from the government, we'll go out there with a announcement. And our biggest concern, I will share something else with you actually. Our biggest concern is that we'll sell out of tickets so quickly that we will disappoint a lot of people. 50 tickets for Business Counts is not very many. We have talked about doing 2 Business Counts events. Right, so if the limit of the amount of people that can be in one place is 50, we might do 2 events. So that's where we are with that right now. So the smaller events at the academy, we absolutely want to get up and running. Those 2 events we do want to see for the rest of this year. Census have wiped out any events that they might do this year. But of course, our planning now for 2021. Is that correct, Jude?
Yep.
So let's see. Let's see where. Look at Georgia there getting her ticket. I haven't missed one. I need to be on the top of the list. I'll tell you all something really funny in a second about Susan. Have I told you already about her nail appointment? If I told you that on one of the webinars, I'll tell you. It is really funny and it's very poignant for us. So that's where we are with it. If anybody wants education for your teams, then we can do online education. Any of the educators would do an online education for you, you know, for you and your teams. Like before you go back, maybe you want to get everyone's juices flowing. So we are thinking about how we can do that in the next few weeks as well. So you just need to let us know if you want that to happen for your team. Let me now tell you about Susan's nail appointment. So salons in Italy were supposed to be going back on June the 1st, and it was brought forward 2 weeks. And so Susan's nail technician phoned her and said, Susan, your appointment is on Thursday the at 4 o'clock. And so Susan said, oh, okay, thank you very much. And she sort of wrote it down. And then she thought about it for a minute, and she worked out that if the nail tech does 8 clients a day, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Susan was Thursday, whatever it was. Susan worked out that she was like the 72nd client or something. And she phoned her up and she said, I'm not very happy. I've worked out that I'm your 72nd client, and I think that I'm a more loyal client than that, and I spend more money and I want to be further up the list. So we've got that to come, I've no doubt. Something to look forward to. Declan, are there any more questions there? What have we got there? All caught up? I can ask Kim. Kim, are you double M or 1M?
I typed to that. It's 1M.
Oh, okay.
I need to do it on Facebook, but I never get around to doing it.
Yeah, she's got 2 M's on her Facebook. Okay, so we're all caught up. Well, Jude and Kim, I want to thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it today. It's nice to have that lightness, you know, of the conversation, and just nothing too heavy and deep. It's so nice. I hope everyone else has enjoyed it. I hope you found it inspirational. Thanks everyone for joining us today. It's going to be a beautiful weekend again. So everybody enjoy your weekend. Our next webinar will be next Wednesday at 11 o'clock with me. And next Friday, we're going to have Jude, and we're going to be doing MC2 fast colour. So
Brilliant.
To you lovely ladies.
Thank you.
And to everyone that joined us today, thank you so much, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks, guys. See you. Bye.